Welcome to Running Instinct. My name is Maxim, and this week I tracked my nutrition with an app, and I want to tell you what I learned. So let's get right into the video. So the app I used to complete this was called Cronometer, and here's the Cronometer app. It's free on the App Store, and it's actually pretty cool. If you get the app, you can play around with it and get to know it better, but here are the main functions I used. Every day, the app starts with a blank sheet, and you can scroll through previous days by clicking the button up at the top. Coming over to today, I clicked the plus sign and either add food or scan barcode. So for me, it was easiest to measure how many grams or milliliters of food I had using a small scale that I have or measuring cups. And I measured my food on here, remembered the values, and after I looked up the food from my recents or typing it into the search bar, I chose the units of measurement in the app and input my value. The same thing goes for scanning the barcode. After I found the exact food by scanning the barcode on the package, I input how much I ate and I added it to my diary. That was the whole process for everything that went into my mouth. I measured it, found it on Cronometer, plugged it in, and added it to my diary. After everything is logged, I can look at the specifics of what I ate. Scrolling through the top menu, I can see a breakdown of each macronutrient and micronutrient, and I can even see how much each food contributed to everything. That's about it. Again, by playing around with Cronometer, you can probably find more cool features, but this was my method of tracking my nutrition. So of course not everything was that easy, and there were some difficulties with tracking my nutrition, but if you eat common foods then tracking everything is easy, but once it comes to recipes it can get pretty difficult to track. Like a salad, that was very hard. For instance, we had leftovers from the Super Bowl on Sunday, and on Monday I wrote down the recipe for what I ate, and I don't know what it's even called, but I had a whole bunch of fat, and I wasn't sure if that was actually the best reflection of what I actually ate. So I don't go to restaurants often, but there was a restaurant meal option in the Cronometer app if you search for it, and it can make it easier for some people, but I didn't use it. In addition to difficulties tracking complex food items, it was difficult to track exercise and stuff because you don't know how many calories are burned from, say, running 10 miles because it depends on your technique, how hot it was outside, and a bunch of other factors. So overall, that's not very accurate, and I didn't worry too much about how many calories I burned. Instead, what I did focus on was how many grams of each nutrient I had. So how much protein, carbs, fat, and even sometimes I looked at the vitamins and amino acids. Right off the bat on the first day, I learned that I was obviously confusing fats with proteins and carbs, and I was way over on my fat count and way under on my protein and carbs. In addition, my fiber intake was bad. So on Tuesday, I made sure I switched that up immediately, and I got a scoop of protein powder with my breakfast, and I had an overall breakfast of 70 grams of protein actually. That's pretty good. Then by the end of the day, I ended up with over 200 grams of protein because I had chicken for lunch and beef for dinner. And it may seem like the more the better in protein, but that's not really the case. Sure, I'm getting plenty of protein, but those foods are also pretty high in fat. So my fat consumption regularly beats my carbs consumption, which should not happen for a runner. I haven't really thought of my diet as being keto, but according to what I've been logging, it is basically that. It's a low carb, high fat diet. And I was honestly really surprised when I found out. So I guess the final question is, what would I change? What's the result of all of this struggle to track your food? Well, looking at my results from a week of tracking my nutrition, there are definitely things that I want to change in my diet, and the main thing is probably eating less fat. This involves eating leaner meats or less meat overall, less cheese, and instead replace that with more grains and cereals. Doing some research on low fat and high protein foods like things like lentils, wheat berries, buckwheat, and beans are great things to eat that do not harm my protein intake while fixing my fats. Overall, it was very difficult to track my nutrition for a whole week, and some foods were very difficult to log, and it took extra time out of my day to accurately log the food. And being hungry made it even worse. And although it was hard, I would still recommend doing this kind of check-in for just 1 week or even just a few days, simply to confirm that how you think you're eating is how you're actually eating, because obviously those two things were very different for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about this, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when my next video comes out, and thank you for watching.